Hey there, Grumpy Old Fart here. I'm doing a historic haunting video on the Mansfield Reformatory. This place has a heck of a history. It was open for about 100 years, and their records were not kept very diligently, so we honestly don't know how many people died here. I'll start from the beginning. In 1890, the Mansfield Reformatory, also known as the Ohio State Reformatory, opened. It was an intermediate penitentiary for men and boys aged 16 to 30. Prior to the prison, the site was a training ground for U.S. Civil War soldiers. It was called Camp Mordecai Bartley. Thousands of people were trained there, and it was later decided to put a prison there. It took a long time to build it, and they used a lot of architecture, kind of like a castle from European sources. This prison that they built boasted the world's tallest freestanding cell block. Unfortunately, the height of the cell block was used to push. They used that height. They were pushing inmates that weren't liked were pushed off the top. So that was a source of it wasn't good. Let's just put it that way. They built the world's tallest freestanding cell block, and they were using it to murder inmates they didn't like. The guards weren't murdering them; other inmates were. So, in the late 1930s, a riot broke out at the prison. The prison was made of stone and steel, so when they started a big fire, the rioters, during the riot they started a big fire, rather than do anything about it, the guards just sealed it off. They sealed off the rioters in the cell block, and then they also sealed off the ventilation systems, which trapped the fire and the smoke in with the prisoners. Excuse me, the guards were sitting around making lists, identifying prisoners which they felt were behind the riot. They had 100, and when it was over, they had 120 names. They locked these men in 12 cells of the solitary confinement section, because there was only 12 solitary confinement cells. They had 120 people. They packed them into a cell to teach them a lesson. The rioters were kept in the hole for a week without food or water, which drove many of them to the point of madness. In the 1960s, the reformatory was getting crowded. Guards were forced to even double up the death row inmates. This caused a lot of fights, and a lot of prisoners ended up dead. In one instance, they had two prisoners, death row inmate prisoners, in one cell. The guards came back, and there was only one guy in there, so they pulled him out, and they held him, and they searched the cell, and they found out that the other prisoner had murdered him, broke up his body, and stuffed him beneath a bunk. Murders were very common throughout the prison, especially in the showers. Prisoners would be walking through there completely defenseless because you're in the shower, and somebody would reach out and cut them across the belly, and their insides would pour out. People would get shanked on a daily basis. Other prisoners hardly took notice. It was very, very common. The prison remained in operation until 1990. That's 100 years of this. Now, even before the prison closed, paranormal activity had been reported. To this day, visitors to the facility report all manner of activity, including being pushed, pulled, being pushed or pulled, being struck, having their hair pulled. Many have seen dark shadows moving throughout the buildings, and this isn't just in the cell blocks, it's even in the administration buildings. People report hearing footsteps. They hear doors slam. Doors have been seen slamming in certain areas of the prison. People have heard low growling sounds, disembodied voices. It's everything a haunting could be is in this place, and rightly so. It was active for 100 years, and we really don't know how many people were killed here. For 100 years, some of the worst villains in America were sitting here, and many of them never left. I'm going to go out on a limb and say they're probably a little pissed. Now, if you're a Christian like me, you believe in God, you also believe in the devil. It's the flip side of the same coin. Where there are devils and demons, you have possession. Demonic possession is not being used as a defense in any court cases that I'm aware of, because if you let one person do it, soon everybody's doing it. Oh, it wasn't me, I was possessed by the devil, blah, 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 you know. So I understand why it's not happening. But how many people who have been convicted of very serious crimes go to prison with a demon in them? You see what I'm saying? If there are demonic possessions, chances are at least some of them ended up in prison, and it would explain a lot of the shit that happens. And it would explain a lot of the low growling sounds that they hear in this place. Just saying. And again, I can't say for sure. I've never been there. I've never heard any of these myself, but it would explain a lot. That's all I'm saying. Hope this finds everybody well. You folks have a good day. God bless one and all.